Hey everyone, this is Rydo, and we are back to a live stream / recording of Hearthstone. So we've already, in 2 recordings, done everything. Today is April 26th, and we're just kind of waiting to see if anybody wants to come on and play. If nobody does, I guess then I will just end this recording. We have a little bit of news. We're on a winning streak with ranked play. I'd like to get that higher. It'd be nice if I could get up to rank 17, 16, 15. Of course, that would require me to actually play enough and focus enough. I'm running a 50% win ratio on this Murloc deck, and that's pretty much how as best as I can hope for right now. So I have a little bit of things to talk about. Like, you can, as part of the Open Lore Engine remake project, which you can now play the original Tomb Raider in a browser with JavaScript. What really surprised me about that is that it's with JavaScript. I looked at the page source file, and I would have thought it would have been like WebGL or something else, maybe Flash. Even although not that many people use Flash these days. But just JavaScript somehow gets it to run. Now, arguably they said it runs better on PC with this new engine remake running the back of it. Where it has an unlocked frame rate and like similar issues. But if it runs better, then that just says that the original Lara Croft Tomb Raider game ran horribly, because it doesn't in my opinion run better. It is buggy, laggy. It was on my computer at least. So they're saying it runs better than the Steam version. In a lot of ways it doesn't matter. It's like, why in the world, if you don't have any fandom or memory of the original Lara Croft game, would you want to play the original Lara Croft game, since there's been a reboot, and the reboot effectively did a great job at restarting that series and bringing it to modern times. It's similar ways to like where I tried to play Oddworld and didn't have any fandom or like memories to that game, since I never played it before, and trying to play any of the Oddworld games turned out to be a nightmare, and just couldn't really play any of them, which is a shame. I also tried to play the original Hitman, and similar situation occurred where it's just not I'm just not capable of running that game on the modern engine, because the game moved too fast in the case of Hitman. I don't know what you really want to say or how you really cover the original Tomb Raider games. They're just, in my opinion, they're just part of the list of games that are too old. Just there's a category in my Steam collection of things that are just too old. They cannot be played. Sorry, so sad, but that's just how it goes. Alright, this. I'll be surprised if I somehow turn this around and win. So yeah, oddly, one of the people I follow on my private YouTube subscriptions is going through Tomb Raider 1, and I don't know why. I assume it's fandom. I've never bothered to click on the link, which probably gives me more insight than I realize on just how you can not be interested of videos on YouTube and just never watch them, even if there's hundreds and hundreds of episodes coming out to something you're even subscribed to you cannot watch them. In fact, I recently just unsubscribed to like 4 or 5 channels because they hadn't put out anything I wanted to watch in 6 months or more. And what they were putting out in the past, I wasn't. I suppose there's a difference there. If a channel was quiet 6 months, put out a video, then was quiet again, put out a video 6 months, and each of those videos were very interesting, I would stay subscribed. But if the channel is instead putting out things that I'm just uninterested in, then they're just filling up my newsfeed, and I don't want to. They're spamming my feed, I suppose, might be the phrase to use. And so, yeah. It probably also explains a lot of the time when my videos don't get watched, because clearly what I'm doing on my channel is not what YouTube wants you to do. Like, I don't think the idea on YouTube is to have a channel that does consistent changes. Now, movie review sites are kind of what I'm basing my channel off of. The idea of although movie review sites also usually only make 1 video per movie, whereas I'm making 30 to 30 plus videos per game. That being said, video games are also 60 hours often, and movies are usually only 2.5 at most. So yeah, my channel, every video is bound to be slightly different when you're watching a different series, whereas YouTube is more built around the Minecrafters idea, where you have Captain Sparkles, for example, who only does Minecraft content, and on weird occasions will try to push people into his music channel or something else. There we go. That'll work nicely. By the holy light. Outlast 2 is out. For anybody who liked Outlast 1, like, I think I might play Outlast at some point, but I don't know when. That's almost certainly going to be one of those games that I would hold on to for a very long time in an effort to play it on October month, Halloween month, and I don't know when I'm gonna start playing more horror games outside of Halloween month. That's a good question, because there is slightly more horror games out there than there are months to save that up to. I may find myself doing a second Halloween, I suppose, if around the 5th month, which would be the next month. That might be an interesting idea. I need to look at that, though. That, like, if I did something like that right now, like, I would have to be very consistent and particular about it, but I could make all the things that I'm recording, because I'm recording things that happen, I think, in the 5th month right now, and I hadn't considered it at all. To me, I was looking at the 5th month being, okay, we're approaching the mid-year point for 2017. Assassin's Creed games, I'm trying to play 2 per year, so it's time to do another Assassin's Creed game. Anything else that might be coming out during that time is an interesting thought too. But now, maybe next year in 2018, I'll think, well, maybe in May, which I believe is the 5th month, I will instead... Oops. I will instead have a second Halloween. of horror games. Now, when doing horror games, there's an issue of finding anything that's kid-friendly to play during that, but maybe we could do a half and half there. Moving on the news, I'm supposed to be playing, so let's play. A study by the UK's National Crime Agency has come up with some crazy sensational claims that kids who use cheat codes / mods are gaining the skills to become hackers and criminals. Which I guess, at the core of it, it's not completely untrue. Like, I assume some people that are using really complicated cheats and mods, but not cheat codes. Cheat codes specifically mean codes that were put in the game by the developers to use. But if you're using other hacks and mods, sure, maybe you could say, yeah, there's a little bit of understanding that the kids are learning in the same way that they're learning how to copy and paste a file. And anybody that knows how to copy and paste a file is taking the first step to being a hacker. In all honesty, though, it's such a disingenuous, ridiculous statement to make. It's when I was playing Human Resources Machine and I was showing programming on their simplified programming language, that is really as close as you could get to starting down the path of teaching a kid how to be a hacker and a criminal. Is the idea of understanding programming and understanding how those things work. But even at that, you're still miles away from the programs that are available and the things that you would use to actually hack or cheat anything. Like, you're nowhere close to, like, looking at the RAM that programs access. You're nowhere close to cheating, reprogramming things, trying to find exploits for things. You're nowhere close. You're not focusing at all in the security region of computers. So learning to mod your video game, which has probably been designed to allow some form of modding, is nowhere close to learning how to access, penetrate, reprogram, like, secure parts of operating systems or like banking systems or anything. The vast majority, if you're trying to penetrate things over the internet, is going to be Linux based stuff. If you're talking about modding video games, the vast majority of that is going to be Windows. So the whole thing is just completely ridiculous. But it was said, so I pass it on as just ridiculous. A game came out on Steam called Psychopath's Mandatory Happiness. Now, if you're not familiar with the Psychopath anime, it was a big thing a couple of years ago. The first season, it's actually a very weird anime twist of how it was released. The first season was very interesting, and it was the one I've seen. I think you can see it on Netflix, or I saw it on Netflix, so maybe at one time it was on Netflix. But the creators of the first season then took a completely hands-off policy, and handed the second season to a different team, while the team that made the first season made a movie that kind of aired in between the first season ending and the second season starting. And so I have no idea if this game, which is a visual novel, would be more like season 1 or season 2 or the movie. So you just don't know. And there's, as is often the case in anime, there's a mile of information that you kind of need before you even start watching if you want to get and understand everything. I can say, however, this game is rated T for teen, which means it's not going to be that good. Because Psycho-Pass Season 1, which is the part I read, was a hard mature. It's about people that are crazy and violent and doing incredibly violent things, being hunted down by a police force in a society where any small amount of abnormal thinking, violent thinking, is scanned in the brains of all the citizens. So the entire world is, the entire nation of Japan is full of citizens that are constantly under surveillance, mentally scanned, to see if they have a psycho quotient that is above the abnormal. And if they're above the abnormal, then they get shipped off to a mental hospital that there's little chance that they will ever be released from, except for the few that work for the police that are above abnormal and are allowed to be used as basically assassins for this police department. And the main thing that interests a lot of people in the Psycho-Pass anime is that there's this gun that you point the gun at people and it scans them to see what their psycho quotient is, whether they're crazy enough to warrant execution. And if the gun determines that's the case, then it brutally explodes the person. And if they're under that quotient, then they can't pull the trigger on the gun at all. So the entire society is built around this idea of the psycho quotient, which I think is what it's called. And there's a lot more to it than that, but I wouldn't want to spoil things. And so it was a really interesting first season, at least to watch for me, and I enjoyed it a lot. But as a visual novel spin-off game, like, first of all, it's only fully voiced in Japanese, so I'd have to do a lot of reading, and inherently, I think I just bang my head against the visual novel problem again and again. And Steam certainly itself, and Valve has run into this issue, where they didn't realize that visual novels were super popular. I know they're super popular, I just don't think they're popular for YouTube streamers. Like, I think there needs to be some YouTubers out there who are voice actors, or who at the very least can do a moderately good job at voice acting, and they need to have a group of, I would say, no less than 3 people who can sit in front of a microphone and read different lines of dialogue in different voices. And of those 3 people covering visual novels, then they also each one of those people need to have the ability to do multiple voices. So you can get potentially, I'd say, about 60 different voices out of 3 people, all sounding realistic and normal. And what you're effectively talking about then is just a full-on fan dubbing of a game. And on top of that, is that fair use? Not really. You still have to put some criticism in it. But there might be a way to do that. It's just, it would take way more time and energy and effort. I wouldn't be surprised if there was a YouTube channel that was going to do something like that, that they would only put out like 1 video a week, and on the weekend they would probably get a little drunk and play the game and sit around there and laugh and joke with each other. Moving on though, you might be check out Psycho-Pass the anime if you're interested. I would say also then check out Mandatory Happiness. It's probably not going to be terrible, but the fact that it's teen rated is disconcerting. There was a lot of talking in anime though, so it's not incredibly crazy that it's a visual novel. I don't know how you could make any other game about it. The series really isn't based around action and that much. Two names I don't recognize, Ian Livingston and Nomad Games, are bringing back a classic choose your own adventure series to PC, or maybe not bringing back, but bringing to is the more accurate phrase. And the name of this series is Fighting Fantasy Legends, which is a 35-year-old phenomena, quote unquote. Although I don't know if that really was a quote. The game from the trailer looked pretty RPG-ish. It didn't look like a Telltale game for a Choose Your Own Adventure series, which frankly in my mind isn't that exactly what a Telltale game is, if not a Choose Your Own Adventure series. This feels more like you're given characters, your characters have health, there's an RPG element to it, you are given one decision, and in that one decision, I shouldn't have done this card actually. There's probably 2 or 3 at most outcomes, and then some of the outcomes I think probably are going to be like you have to fight this guy, and that's when your health and your items and all of those things are going to come into it. In a lot of ways, this is exactly what the really, really old school adventure games were anyways. And those really have not come back with any success. So the game looks really old. I don't know if it's going to succeed. But the idea of getting Choose Your Own Adventure books into video games is an interesting one. That's what catches my eye more than this series, which I've never heard of. The idea that I very possibly should I kill this guy? Yes, I could. Should. Could see hundreds, if not thousands, of Choose Your Own Adventure books turned into something closer to a Telltale game might be interesting. I don't know if any of those books were actually good, though. It's like, I haven't ever heard anybody going, boy, this one Choose Your Own Adventure book was great. And I read a bunch of them, at least 18 or 20 of them, and skimmed them. I don't know if I really ever read any books in school, actually, to be honest. But I kind of enjoyed the interactivity there. And in the old days, before video games being prevalent, you kind of could see where something like that would happen. But honestly, in modern times, I don't think it's going to work. Hand of Fate, in a lot of ways, was sort of a Choose Your Own Adventure book come to a video game. Reigns is kind of a Choose Your Own Adventure book come to a video game. I think Reigns is probably closer to a Choose Your Own Adventure book than even Hand of Fate is, because Reigns had some pretty standard setup of how things were going to work and what the outcome was going to happen. Kind of the problem with Reigns is probably the problem with Choose Your Own Adventure books too, is that there's a decent chance you're going to miss sections. And in the book form, you could always just read the book all the way forward and not skip when the pages tells you to skip to a specific point, which would be kind of hard to follow. But you can usually also find the sections that you never saw after a couple run-throughs. So the last few things here is RocoCat, RocoCat, which is a peripheral manufacturer for PCs. I don't know if they're good or not. Not sponsored from them or anything, but I saw an ad for this thing called the Modulock headphone stand that has modular accessories that go in the middle of the stand, and it's like an amp and a USB hub is what I saw. And I kind of need a headphone stand, and the idea of having a USB hub next to my headphone stand wouldn't be a terrible idea either. Right now I'm using just extension cords. That being said, using extension cords is probably the better thing anyways, because going through a hub is going to just slow down the speed almost certainly. But I do need a headphone stand, and the cheap solution of course is to get a banana hanger. You can spend less than 20 bucks on a banana hanger that you're supposed to hang bananas from, and then maybe make a slight adjustment to it and then put your headphones on that. Or right now I'm just hanging it on my mic stand, which is great, but I kind of would prefer nothing be hung on my mic stand and it never move and I never touch it, because every time I move or touch it, it has a tendency to mess up and move in directions I don't want it to go. So if anybody out there knows a good headphone stand or a good suggestion that looks cool. Now the stand itself, I couldn't even see a price for it. They wanted you to spend $60 on headphones, and I wouldn't choose to do that. The other thing I'm thinking about is I need suggestions desperately for the quietest mouse and keyboard you can find. Possibly wired. I wouldn't be opposed to getting one that has more buttons and such. This is the last call, by the way. So if anybody is on live and they want to friend me and play me at all, that's this is last call, so hop on right now while I'm doing this game. The only thing I have left is my numbers for my channel, which I talk about on occasion, particularly when I don't have that much to talk about. So in the last 7 days, my watch time has been a little bit down with 4,776 minutes, which that's a pretty big number, but it's down, so I'd like to see it go up. I'm not really surprised though now. I won't be surprised if after the stats come in from the previous stream and this stream that it is lower than what it was before. My watch duration is up to 2 minutes and 53 seconds on average. So when you average all the people that are good watchers and watch every second of my videos versus all the people that get bored and leave immediately, it makes the sad 2 minutes and 53 seconds average for videos that are often 30 minutes to plus. My goal personally is to get to 4 minutes plus. Getting much more than that is unlikely. I would like to see some channel stats where they get 30 minutes, 40 minutes, an hour of view time, and get a considerable number of views. If you have a video and only one person's watched it and they've watched it all the way through, sure, that I could understand an hour of view time. But when you're talking about videos that need to make money, and because they need to make money, you need to get thousands and thousands of views, you're not going to have that kind of watch time. Speaking of views, they're slightly down at 1,655 views. So I think somewhere close to 175,000 views, maybe a little bit higher. If every 7 days I'm getting another 1,000, it will be 25 weeks. So by the end of this year, I should be at 200,000. Just if I'm doing a rough estimate on the math. Which will be nice, but it's just a marker. Doesn't really mean anything. The next marker as far as YouTube cares is I need 1,000 subscribers so I can enable super chat and just be considered more of a person. I'm at 144 subscribers right now, so if I could get up to 200 by the end of the year, that would be nice. I'd like to see a major jump in that, but I'm not sure that's going to happen. My estimated revenue is up a lot at $1.15 for the past 7 days, which still completely ridiculous, ridiculously low, but it's better than it was. I'm just extremely lucky that this isn't a job that puts food on my table, or that I need to put food on my table. Otherwise, I would be selling out left and right and doing sponsorships and doing deals with all people. Jim Sterling did a thing where he said that some of the to sell out and put in links to casinos on your website gets you a whopping $100 to sell out all your credibility. It's like, wow. $100 to never be trusted again. That's all your website is worth to them. My likes are down, and I got 17 of them, so it would be nice if any of my fans watched my videos and intentionally just watched them all the way through and put a thumbs up on them afterwards, just to try to support my channel. That's one of the things you can certainly do. Is like the 3 things fans can do is they can share my videos to other people who will watch it, because I'm sure Google knows when, YouTube knows when different people are watching from different IPs, more than just one person watching over and over again. If you can't get anybody else to watch them, then watching it yourself and watching a video twice is good. Thumbs upping it also helps. Commenting on it also helps. But mostly it's getting your friends to subscribe to my channel and watch my videos is the main thing that my channel needs. That being said, I am down in subs by -1, so I didn't either I didn't gain any subscribers and I lost one, or I gained some subscribers and lost more than one, which I don't know which of those 2 options would be more devastating. But dislikes are up by 5, comments are neutral at 40. More comments would be nice. So overall, my channel's doing good. Revenue particularly is the main one I keep an eye out for, because that's how viable this channel actually is to pay for itself, and I would like it to pay for itself sooner rather than later, so I don't have to one day just disappear and go get a real job. But I'm also certainly willing to wait a little bit and realize that right now I need subscribers and I need my channel to grow. If I got no more subscribers ever in the career of, oh man, I could have won right there. He's right.
That was a mistake.
Whoops.
I could have won. I could have done 1 damage to her and won. Like, I would much rather grow my channel and get more subscribers than get a few more dollars. Yeah, if I got $1 million somehow in some major mess up for my channel and didn't ever have to worry about money again, that's fine. But if I only got like $100 because of some weird spike in ad revenue, and then I didn't continue to do good quality of videos and never got any more subscribers, like $100 is not enough to live off of for the rest of your life. And that's ideally what I'm trying to do here, is have a channel that could pay for itself for the rest of my life. And that's kind of all I have to talk about, and we are ready to end this recording, so as soon as he wins in the next turn, that'll be it. Nobody came on. I wonder if maybe there was a spring break issue that happened. Like, and that's why nobody's online and nobody's watching right now or commenting right now. That people are just back to school or something like that. I would kind of hope that it was more that's the case, and it's not a case of YouTube just decided that my streamings weren't interesting, so they didn't promote them anymore, and they'll just never promote live streams again. I suppose at a certain point I may just stop live streaming in total. So even if you're watching this later in recordings, that is something to think about. It's like, because we started off really well with live streams. A lot of people just randomly finding my channel and commenting and really enjoying the experience. Now, twice in a row, sadly, we've had the exact opposite of that, where nobody's been online, nobody's been chatting, and it saved me some time, I suppose, and now I can go back to try to play more BioShock Infinite, try to struggle through that. We got all the daily quests done, we have 230 dust, we did the Tavern Brawl, got a new pack. The only other thing I could have done is an arena run. Maybe at some point I might get so bored I go do these solo adventures. I wouldn't be surprised if they just, without even telling people, they got rid of the solo adventures, and then there's no way to even play them, even for people that bought them. Anyways, that's going to be it for this recording and the live stream. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on basically any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.